And the big story on Action News is breaking news. Philadelphia police say a child has been shot in Germantown, and a family member may have accidentally pulled the trigger. Action News reporter Bob Brooks live at police headquarters with the breaking details. Bob.
Yeah, Rick, there's something like this happening is absolutely heartbreaking. At this point, we are told that 4-year-old boy is in critical condition, being airlifted to Children's Hospital. And again, police say he was shot by a family member in the living room who was handling a semi-automatic gun. It was 8:30 tonight when Philadelphia police say they started getting numerous calls for an infant shot inside of a home on East Penn Street in the city's Germantown section. When they arrived, investigators say they found a 4-year-old boy shot in the stomach and in critical condition.
A family member was handling a semi-automatic gun, and that gun accidentally discharged, striking this 4-year-old in the stomach.
At this point in the investigation, police say this happened in the living room, and there were 3 other children around when the gun discharged. Police say the gun appears to be legally owned. It was fired 1 time, but why it was being handled with children around is under investigation.
The family member is cooperating with police, so detectives are on location. They're going to process and search the scene with a search warrant, which is normal protocol when a shooting of this nature takes place inside of the property. But preliminary information is that the 4-year-old does live here with family.
Okay, Rick, now police say when they were at the scene that child was somewhat conscious, but again now in critical condition. As you would expect, that family member could face a variety of charges.
Where police are investigating the death of a 4-year-old boy shot and killed inside a house on Germantown Road. Hello, I'm Greg Hurst.
Such a sad ending to a young life. I'm Stephanie Skurlock. WREG's Melissa Moon is in that neighborhood tonight with tragic details of what happened to this child. Melissa?
Well, as you can see behind me, Germantown police have now cleared the scene. They aren't saying whether this was an accidental shooting. Loved ones of the 4-year-old boy still here tonight want answers too. Nearly a dozen family members of the young victim gathered outside this house at the corner of Germantown Road and Cross Village Drive. They didn't want to talk on camera, but say the 4-year-old was with his father when he was shot in the face. Investigators say they are trying to determine how it happened.
Well, that's pretty shocking, pretty surprising. There's a lot of guns out there.
Germantown police say they responded to a 911 call at the home just before 4 p.m. and are investigating the death of a child involving a firearm. For hours, officers could be seen going in and out of the garage. The grandfather of the 4-year-old says the boy's mother was on her way to pick up the child when he was shot. People in the neighborhood driving home this afternoon saw the crime scene and were curious to know what happened in this normally quiet area.
That's surprising because, you know, we don't hear gunshots around here very often, or if at all, so you think it's a pretty safe neighborhood.
Police were here for nearly 5 hours. We asked if anyone was facing any charges. They said they could not release that information right now. In Germantown, Melissa Moon.
Horrific story. Deputies say a mother kissed her kids goodnight and just seconds later heard gunshots. Officials say the father shot them, killing one of them. When deputies arrived, he told them it was an accident, but as Fox 13's Elizabeth Fry reports, investigators disagree.
A heartbreaking story in Hillsborough County as a 5-year-old little girl is now dead and an 8-year-old little boy is now fighting for his life after their own father turned a gun on them late last night. Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister says it all happened at the Armature Gate Townhomes in North Tampa late Monday evening. He said around 10:30, a mother returned home to say goodnight to her 2 children, a 5-year-old little girl and an 8-year-old little boy. He said she kissed them both goodnight and went to use the bathroom. That's when she heard gunshots ring out. She told detectives the gunshots sounded close, so she ran outside to figure out what was going on. Her neighbor had already called 911. That's when her husband ran outside holding their 8-year-old son in his arms, telling them to call for help. When law enforcement arrived on scene, the little boy was transported to Tampa General Hospital. They asked the father if anyone else was inside. That's when they also found the 5-year-old little girl.
The husband says my 5-year-old daughter's upstairs sleeping. Deputies go upstairs only to make the gruesome discovery that there's a 5-year-old laying in a top bunk, laying in a pool of her own blood. She is shot 2 to 3 times in her head.
Now, both children were shot in the head 2 to 3 times. The father, Jermaine Lavonda Bass, offering no explanation except saying that he had accidentally shot his son. He's currently facing several charges, including first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. Sheriff Chronister says HCSO had never been called out to this address in the past, and Bass had no prior criminal history. Now, as for that 8-year-old little boy, we're told he underwent surgery last night after arriving at the hospital. Like I said, he had been shot 2 to 3 times in the head, and today he's still fighting for his life in critical condition. We'll keep you updated. Elizabeth Fry, Fox 13.
Tragic, but when there's a child involved, it really hits home.
Well, it's become the latest victim of gun violence in Metro Atlanta. Neighbors are now concerned over their own safety. Late today, the Fulton County Medical Examiner confirmed to 11 Alive the girl was 7-year-old Ava Phillips, and she was shot in the head. Now those who live near where all this unfolded late last night are on edge about their own safety. And with that, here's 11 Alive's Karis Belger.
I stay in this building, like where it happened at, and as we were approaching my door, you just heard chaos.
Tia Wilson says she was coming home to the Camden Vantage apartments late Saturday night when she heard loud noises.
As we were approaching my door, you just heard chaos. You heard like screaming. It was like multiple people screaming. You heard dogs barking.
She says she went into her apartment with her mother immediately after, but couldn't imagine what happened.
Like, it wasn't just like familyless, like laughing and screaming together at something. It was like a literal trauma scream.
According to Atlanta police, a shooting took place stemming from a domestic incident that escalated. A 7-year-old girl inside the apartment where it took place was shot, and police say she died from her injuries. After this latest incident, Tia says she feels a little less safe. Zachary Fisher feels the same.
I don't like that it's this unsafe. I don't like that my girlfriend lives here and it's this unsafe.
In November, at the same complex, 2 people were fatally stabbed in their apartment after authorities say the suspect was let inside. Zachary says it was in his apartment building. He's thinking of moving after the shooting Saturday night.
I don't feel safe enough to walk around without carrying. So I conceal carry around my apartment complex more than I do out in Atlanta.
Police say they're trying to piece together what happened. In Atlanta, Karis Belger, 11 Alive News.
News right now at 9. A 7-year-old girl is dead tonight after being shot 6 times at a McDonald's drive-thru in Lawndale.
She was in the car with her father, who was also shot. WGN's Megan Dwyer is live at Stroger Hospital with the latest. Megan.
Taman and Jackie, this happened just before 5 o'clock this evening. I am told that this father doesn't get to see his daughter that often. Today, they had a chance to spend some time together, and he took her to McDonald's because that's where she loved eating. Now, police sources tell me tonight this was a targeted gang shooting, and the shooter probably did not see the girl in the car because of tinted windows.
Please put the guns down, please.
The family of 7-year-old Jaslyn Adams, nicknamed Pinky, says she was free-spirited, fun, loved to dance, and make videos on TikTok.
It's hard right now.
Today, the Cameron school student was shot 6 times while sitting in a car in a McDonald's drive-thru with her dad in the 3200 block of West Roosevelt. Someone opened fire, riddling the car with bullets.
It hits home with all of us.
Police tried to save her in the back of a squad car doing CPR on the way to the hospital, but the talkative 7-year-old did not survive.
You got cowards out here killing and shooting babies in Chicago.
Her dad, 28-year-old Jonte Adams, was shot once. He's in stable condition at Stroger Hospital tonight. His mom says he called her right after the incident and said they shot my baby girl. Now her family, especially her young siblings and cousins,
my baby taking it so hard right now,
are trying to understand why.
My 8-year-old baby says she don't even want to go out and play because she's scared she gonna get shot.
If you had any kids, have you ever took your kids to McDonald's? Have you ever took your kids to eat? You pumped 6.5 bullets in that baby. That don't make you a man. It don't make you a gangster. Something wrong with you.
Tonight, activists are also vowing to find whoever did this.
Turn them in.
Saying they broke the code of the streets.
This gotta stop.
We are told there is a video from this incident today, and police have it. I'm live tonight at Stroger Hospital. Megan Dwyer, WGN.
Center with a gunshot wound to the eye. Police
from tonight, the victim just 5 months old, and that's where we start tonight at 10. Let's get right to CBS 2's Jackie Kostak with that breaking news. She's at Comer Children's Hospital, where we just learned that infant died after being shot in the head. Jackie?
Yeah, Joe, an absolutely heartbreaking situation tonight. The Chicago Police Department confirming that that 5-month-old baby was shot in the head. She was brought here to Comer Children's Hospital, where she later died.
All right, what do you have there? I have the vehicle that my victim at Comer was in her car seat.
Police say early this evening a 5-month-old baby was inside this tan Chevy when another car pulled up and someone inside started firing shots. The infant was struck in the head and a family took that baby to Comer Children's Hospital in critical condition, but she died shortly after. We don't know who all was inside the car with that 5-month-old at the time of the shooting, but police say a 41-year-old man who was in another car was also shot. Police say he took himself to University of Chicago Medical Center with a gunshot wound to the eye.
I want to play a little soundbite of what the mayor said a short time ago. Take a listen.
Today, we're here with a 6-month-old that is deceased. These children are bearing the burden and the pain of adults who are choosing to use guns to solve disputes. The children are bearing this burden with their lives. And I'm here to ask and to demand that it stop right now.
Again, this baby was 6 months old. The police told us a short time ago that the baby was just riding down the street, and this was a random, the baby was a bystander, not involved in the confrontation involving guns. Now, of course, this is still a very active, developing story. Investigators are still here on scene trying to piece together what happened. The mayor and police did vow that they will catch whoever is responsible for this. Be sure to stick with us. We'll bring you the latest at 6.
Break in Brooklyn. What was meant to be a celebration ended with a 1-year-old boy shot and killed during a summer cookout. The gunman right now on the run, and the community devastated as the city tries to contain what is now a steady surge in gun violence. News 4's Mark Santia covering it for us. He's live in Bed-Stuy. Mark, I understand the mayor was there just a short time ago.
Yeah, David, the mayor walked down Madison Street and personally visited with the family. We spoke to him just moments ago. A heartbreaking house call. Mayor Bill de Blasio saying he was so devastated by the shooting death of a 1-year-old near a city park, he had to personally express his condolences to the child's mother.
What did you say to Mom? It's so sad. I mean, there's just tears streaming down her face. I just told
Grill, cans of soda, a baby carriage. This was a neighborhood cookout until 2 men walked up Garvey Boulevard, opening fire. More than a dozen bullets sprayed the crowd. When the shooting stopped, 3 adults were wounded and a 1-year-old child was killed.
1-year-old shot to death. That makes no sense.
Mayor, let the police department do their job. We need police officers on the corners. We need funding for our own security teams. Let's stop the violence in our neighborhood.
We don't all share the same positions. But I know one thing we all share today, that we feel enough is enough.
Standing in solidarity outside the crime scene, a group of community and elected leaders who differ on politics, but today came together with one voice demanding justice as shootings spike across the city. Compared to this time last year, the number of shooting victims is up 70%, with more than 50 of the victims teenagers and children, like the 1-year-old whose life was taken here in Brooklyn.
This shooter must be off the street.
Yes.
Must be off the street.
This person who murdered this 1-year-old baby should not be walking these streets.
Detectives search for clues. This neighborhood searches for answers, fearing retaliation and retribution, fearing other innocent people losing their lives. They raise their voices, begging for witnesses to step up and speak out.
You ain't no gangster, you a punk. That's right. You a punk with a gun that you think is gonna make you a man. And it ain't.
The search for the gunman is happening right now. This community police, there is a cash reward being offered. Folks are being asked to give them a call, to call into police if they have any information. You can remain anonymous. We're live in Bed-Stuy tonight.